What's going on, everyone? Anon TCG, and this video is about my 2025 not so stone cold lock predictions. And some of these have been touched on from other channels, but I'm just going to walk through them and kind of give everybody my thought process as to why I think this is going to happen. And quite honestly, no order. So first things first, Crown Zenith is probably going to be the best performing Sword and Shield product of the year. Uh, it should be out of print in April of this year. It looks like the Sea and Sky is at the end of its lifespan. And if we look at TCG Player, and this is just a loose pack, so there's a weird imbalance here where the sealed product has a pretty sizable premium. But the loose packs are what I want to deal with here because this is kind of like the commodity. The loose packs, there's a massive influx of them. So yeah, so everything's kind of up here, but hold on, it's not right. Yeah, so let's look at the 1 month here. Here's what's crazy. If you look at the last couple days, 383 packs, 625, 937 packs have sold. Today, only 155 on New Year's, but people are kind of busy. So if you look at that, there've been 6,000 packs sold in the last month. There are 8,000 in inventory here. Now, there's obviously more than that, but I think these packs are going to be $10 by the end of the year. This is a rip and shipper's dream. People love the set. People love the glaring gallery. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So, all right, on to number 2, and this is Silver Tempest. So Silver Tempest booster box. Where am I at? Have recently sold out from Pokemon Center. Since they've sold out, they were at 143 and change. They're now at 210. So by the end of the year, not only are Silver Tempest booster boxes going to be over $300, but they're actually going to be at a higher price than Chilling Reign. And the reason I say that is, I think the Lugia is going to be a $500 card, if not a little bit higher by year end. It's probably a top. If you pull Evolving out, it's probably a top 3 card. In Sword and Shield. So yeah, I think people have kind of shit all over this set because there's been a lot of product out there for a while and these were available, but now that it's gone, quite honestly, I think behind Evolving, Fusion, and Lost Origin, this is probably the 4th most valuable set in my view. I know some people like Chilling Reign. I like this a little bit better, but we'll see. So moving on. So this is Pokemon Center ETBs. So not just the promos, but let's talk about the ETBs. Best selling, let's go from high to low. So I think in the Sword and Shield era, that quite honestly has the this stamped Pokemon Center promo. And I mean, this is just insane what's happened here with 151, some sales in the 400 range. I don't think we're going to see a single Pokemon Center ETB under $300 by year end. And that means Shrouded Fable as well. Now, maybe that doesn't quite get to where it needs to get to, but I think we're going to see 151 skyrocket. We're going to see Surging Spark skyrocket. Obviously, Prismatic Evolutions is going to skyrocket. We have the SV base. I think it's the Miraidon's already pushing $200. Twilight Masquerade's artificially pushed down, just because there was a big sale on Pokemon Center. So these have moved. You have the Obsidian Flames at 240, Paldea Evolved at 220, Paldean Fates, pushing like 160 a box. So you effectively have the Temporal Forces that are right around $100 each, the Paradox Rift, which are right around $100 each, and obviously seeing the booster boxes, push up to 140, 150 on both of those sets. It's going to go nuts. And quite honestly, the Stella Crown ones are over $100 now as well, and the Knockdown I think is trading for like $40, $45. So it's a little bit of a stretch to say across the board, but I think they're all going to be at 300 or over by the end of the year, and everybody's going to realize that this was the opportunity of kind of the Sword and Shield generation because it was exclusive. Nobody could play any games with it with distribution. Distribution can't be sitting on them, as far as most of us know. And they're not being reprinted, so they are limited. So um, that's that one. So Scarlet and Violet booster boxes. And I know some folks have talked about this. I think, I think for one, the Pokemon Company is going to raise MSRP again. I'm guessing it's going to be like 179.99. But they have a, I don't want to say an ethical dilemma, but the more you raise the MSRP price on the booster box, the more you limit the number of people that can get the product. And I think that's why we're seeing a shift in marketing with smaller products going to big box stores, and the booster boxes. We have the tier going out to distribution to LGS, and then we're not really seeing the reprints like we've seen in the past with Sword and Shield, and we're not seeing ETBs, and that could be because of some of the shortage of components and some of the delays we've seen. But I think as MSRP goes up, or is increased, the Pokemon Company wants to reprint or wants to print smaller, less expensive products like the $29.99 premium collections, the $39.99 where you're getting 6 packs and a couple promos. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're focused on the brand, you need the younger population to get into this. And there's a lot of folks who can't afford $170 for a booster box. That being said, it's going to create an artificial shortage of booster boxes, especially with all the collectors, investors, and speculation right now. And I don't see a single booster box for the sets that have been out so far that isn't going to be MSRP or higher. And that means SV base, means Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift. They're going to get pushed up to MSRP here shortly. And I think that's part of the reason why, it's working as intended. But it's also creating a little bit of a problem for Pokemon Company. And look, we saw this with Magic the Gathering with their play boosters, where it got to the price point where it became cost prohibitive for a lot of people to buy them. So with the new set, whatever it is, like the motorcycle set, Aether Drift, they actually took the play boxes and they cut 6 packs out of it and cut the price down by like $20 or $15 or whatever it is. So at 36 packs, distro price was about $114, $115. Now distro price is like $95 for 30 packs. So it's an interesting psychology here that they're dealing with. So we hit both of those. So the next box is to hit 200. I've talked about this in video. The Paldea Evolved might do it tomorrow. At this point, those Paldea Evolved is absolutely crazy. The same with Twilight Masquerade. There's about 2,700 boxes that are left on Pokemon Center. Once those are gone, the thing's going to zoom. But I do want to talk about Stella Crown, because I think Stella Crown is going to be the next set to hit 200. And the reason I say that is this is a set that has been underappreciated for quite a while, not talked about. People kind of talk about it like it's a second-rate set when it's really not. So what I do want to talk about here is look at the volume that's selling. There's an average of 26 boxes per day that's selling on this. This 26 boxes a day is more boxes in any set other than Surging Sparks. And it's not that close. So the box is churning. People are buying it. You can see there's only 219 left on the market, which it's fairly par for the course among all these sets. Some of them, like Paldea, only have 120, 130. Paradox Rift is a low. But people are buying the set, and the supply is drying up relatively quickly. So in addition, I do want to go to this, and I think part of the driving force, and what we saw with Sword and Shield is, as we got to the end of the era, a lot of people went back and they decided they wanted to buy the SIRs and the alternate arts, and really started to drive the price of those. I think in this set you have the Squirtle and you have the Bulbasaur, and even though they're only 50, 52, and 46 market price here, as time passes, you have 100 listings. This is probably 20 of them are Japanese, or 10. I wish they'd fix that. But I think you're going to have people that go back and they're going to start buying these and collecting these, and it's going to create a shortage. I think the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur by year end are $100 plus cards in this set. And then we don't have to talk about the Terapagos or any of the other cards, because these two will ultimately drive the set, and they're going to drive the box price to $200. This is the absolute last set on anybody's radar to get reprinted, next to Shrouded Fable, of course. So if these boxes push to 200 and they really do decide to do a reprint, and quite honestly, I don't think there's going to be a reprint here. I think it's a $200 box just because there's not going to be a lot of it. So that being said, I know some people have looked at Temporal Forces and assume there's not going to be a reprint. There's a reprint or at least a restock, whatever, that's currently underway. Pokemon Center in their inventory system, they're showing 20,000 plus boxes, and that's not because they're going to sell that on Pokemon Center. They never list that many on Pokemon Center. That's being staged to go out to distribution here relatively quickly. So Temporal Forces is going to see a restock relatively shortly. It's probably along the lines of what we saw with Paradox, Paldea Evolved, and Twilight a little bit ago, Obsidian as well. But yeah, I think this is going to be a $200 box. And I also think that based on the current price of the box, for any sealed booster box in Scarlet and Violet, this $135 price point right now will be the best return of any set in 2025. And I know a lot of people don't think so. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, which is why I'm even more, I don't want to say certain, but confident in that prediction for 2025. So, all right, moving to the next one. And this is kind of the last two. Vintage Magic the Gathering, I think, is going to start to come back here. I think it's a little bit of crypto going crazy with the current administration being pro crypto, and also everything's getting bought, everything's moving. At some point, vintage Pokemon's moving, vintage Magic isn't, and I think at some point, there's going to be some life that comes back to it, and I think we're going to see some of the high dollar cards, your power, I think it's going to start moving again for the first time in like 4 or 5 years. So that'll be interesting. So moving on to any other indie games, your Star Wars, Sorcery, One Piece to some extent. I would just say that if you're buying those right now, most likely just assume you're buying into the same point as 2021. I don't want to say it's a bubble because I don't think it is for Pokemon. I don't think it is for Magic. But there's so many funds and financial assets being diverted to these two games. I think everything else is kind of second fiddle. And if things slow down, the weak assholes would be the first ones that get smashed. No different than how the stock market works. Now, I could be wrong. There could be 1 or 2 indies here or there that make a little bit of sense. But we'll see. So moving to 2025, I think this Journey Together, Battle Partners set, whatever, it's going to come out right around MSRP. Somewhere north of $135 to $160. I'm guessing, especially where Surging Sparks is where it's at. I think part of the reason is everybody and their brother's going to try to get it after having 2 banger sets in a row. I don't know what distribution is going to do, but we've been told it should be relatively normal. But at this point, I have no idea what the hell normal is. So that should be interesting. And then the Team Rocket set, I believe it's going to be the May set. It's going to be a full set. What's interesting about that set is it's going to be a banger from the standpoint that everybody's going to want it. But what's interesting is it'll really be the first set where the Pokemon Company has had an opportunity to pivot after seeing Surging Sparks in the popularity and expand the print window. So it'll be interesting to see if they increase their print runs on that for the first time in a long time. If they increase them too much, that could prick I don't want to say the bubble because it's the wrong term, but that may deflate the situation where we're at and go back to normalcy. If they keep the print runs tight and they just increase MSRP like I'm predicting, I would imagine that we're zooming. And if that's the case, the amount of hype we see right now in Pokemon is going to be a fraction of what we see the end of 2025 going into the 30-year anniversary. And we have a solid 12 months of just batshit craziness where everything is going to the moon. So that being said, wish everybody Happy New Year. Like, subscribe, join the Discord, and we'll talk soon. All right, have a good one.